Hello and welcome to the channel. In tonight's episode, it's that time again. I'm making yogurt, but I am making yogurt without using store-bought yogurt. I am going to be using homemade whey. So if you'd like to see me do that, stay tuned. So what you need is a container of milk of your choice, and some homemade whey, which is what I have here. You're supposed to take about 2 quarts of milk to 2 to 3 tablespoons of whey. And so I'm going to measure out the milk to make sure that I'm putting the recommended amount of whey. So I'm just pouring in. This is a 1 quart 4 cup measuring cup. So that's 1. Let's see if I've got at least 2 quarts. And I do not. I have 1 quart and 3 cups. Not quite. So I'm still going to put the same amount, which is 2 to 3 tablespoons of whey. So now that I have my milk inside of my Instant Pot, I'm going to open up my whey. It's been sitting in the refrigerator, and I'm going to put 3 tablespoons. And I should actually just get the tablespoon measuring. So let me do that. So I've got my tablespoon measurer. So I'm just going to take and put 3 tablespoons in here. Just like so. Just like that. And I'm going to just stir it in. Get it nice and incorporated. And then I'm going to turn it on. Back in the refrigerator my whey goes. I'm going to place the lid, actually not that lid, excuse me. I'm going to place my glass lid on top. And now I'm going to turn it on the yogurt button. I'm going to leave this overnight like last time, and I'll see you in the morning. While I wait for the yogurt to cook, it's going to take all night. I'm going to make some granola. I'm going to start out with some ghee. So I'm going to open up my ghee container. I keep my ghee in the cupboard, and I'm just going to take about a tablespoon, maybe a teaspoon, don't know, just depends. I just eyeball it. I think I'm going to use a tablespoon. I'm going to make a big batch this time. My hands are clean. I just washed my hands. And my ghee is solidified because it is cold in the kitchen. So it is pretty hard. So now I'm going to turn on the stove. And I'm going to turn that to medium low. Now that the ghee is melting, I'm going to take some rolled oats that I have over here. I'm going to open up the bag. I just have some plain rolled oats, the regular kind, nothing, not that quick oat, just regular old rolled oats. And I'm just going to pour, I'm going to eyeball it, I'm going to pour it in. I'm not following the recipe. I make this all the time. I'm actually going to pour all of this in. That way I can buy some more and start a new batch soon. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to allow the ghee to kind of coat the oats. And while that's happening, I'm going to grab my other ingredients, and I'll be right back. If I can find my original recipe, I will make a point of adding it in the description box. That way, if you want to make granola, you can follow along and make it for yourself. Now, I'm going to put some flaxseed, some ground flaxseed in here as well. And again, I just eyeball. So I'm just going to pour some in. just like that. I also add some cacao powder, and I picked this up from Walmart. It has fiber, magnesium, and vitamin C. I really like it. It does not have a sweetener in it. It is not sweet at all, so don't think you can just buy it and eat it, because you'll be very disappointed. And I'm just gonna put a half a scoop, because I like chocolate. Maybe not a half a scoop. I'm just gonna just kind of drizzle it over the top. It's not coming out as much as I'd like. There we go. I just shake as much as I want over the top, just like that. And again, I will look for my recipe and I will put it in the description box below, because I just eyeball it. Now that I have all of that in there, I am going to get some cinnamon. Let's see. Sorry about all the noise. Y'all know I have dogs, and if you don't know, if this is your first time visiting my channel, I have two bulldogs, two English bulldogs, and they do what they want to do. They are noise makers. They are little, well, I hope no one's offended, but they're little hell raisers. They kind of do what they want to do. So this is cinnamon. So I'm going to warm it up, put some cinnamon in there. That's about a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half of cinnamon. I'm going to also get a little bit of nutmeg. Let's go over to the drawer, get a little bit of nutmeg. And let's put some nutmeg in there, because why not? Just like that. Not a lot. I could come back and put more. It just depends on how I feel about it. And I'm just going to stir it in. Just incorporate it. And then all I do is let the ghee and all the spices incorporate into the oats. I let it brown a little bit on the stove for about 5-10 minutes. Once I begin to smell it, then I will take it off of the stove and then I will put it in the oven. Well, I'm not going to put it in the oven. I'm going to put it in the instant vortex oven. But if you want to make it, then if you don't have an instant vortex oven, then you would put it in your oven. And I leave it in there for about 3 to 5 minutes. And so I'm just stirring this around, letting it incorporate all those seasonings, incorporate well, just like so. I'm beginning to smell the seasonings. So now we go to the next step. I can sort of kind of hear the oats and the ghee kind of like popping a little bit on the bottom of the pan. So now I'm going to add some almonds. I like to buy a lot of my products bulk. So I've got my almonds over here. I'm going to take about 2 handfuls of almonds and a half. If you don't like almonds, you don't have to add almonds. And then I stir them in, incorporating them in like so. I hope you guys can see. I'm right-handed and the canner is on that side. If you can see, the canner's right there. I've got some projects I'm getting ready to work on, so I would have you guys on this side, but the stove is only so big, the space is only so big in the kitchen. So this is what I'm working with. I hope you all can see. So I'm just stirring it around, warming everything up. And I can smell the cinnamon. I can smell a little bit of the nutmeg. I think I might put a little bit more nutmeg in there. Just a little bit. And you don't have to put this if you don't like it. I put it because I like it. Just a pinch more, maybe a little bit more than that. There we go. Nutmeg. I'm gonna have to get more nutmeg. And then I just incorporate it in. Just like so. Now the final thing I put in here is honey to bring it all together. Now my honey has been sitting for a minute. It has begun to crystallize, so it is thick as I don't know what. So this might take a minute to get it out of here. I should have put it in some hot water and warmed it up, but I didn't do that. I decided to make granola at the last minute. It wasn't something that I planned on doing. I'm going to have to warm this up because it is not coming out how I would like it. And then I just keep stirring it, and I incorporate the honey over the oats. Let me get some warm water and run this under, and I'll be right back. Now that I have my honey in there, my hands are all sticky. I am just going to mix this honey in here, trying to make sure that the honey doesn't stick or burn. Now this is going to get sticky, but I want to incorporate that honey. And I'm going to do that, and then I will be right back. Okay, now that I have all of that honey in here, and it's getting everything all nice and sticky. I hope you guys can see it. I know my hand is probably in the way. Now that everything is nice and coated and nice and sticky, I'm going to take this off of the stove, and I'm going to get it on some parchment paper, and I'm going to put it in the instant vortex oven. But you can put it in your oven and let this heat over. And once it finishes, it might get a little brown. I like mine a little brown. So let's get this off the stove because I don't want the honey to burn. I don't want it to stick. And as you can see, it is all nice and coated, and that's what I wanted. Now let's get this on some parchment paper. I'm going to try to get this on some parchment paper without burning myself or dropping it all over the place. And all I do is just line parchment paper. So I'm going to do that. And the girls are making an awful lot of noise, so I'm going to speed this up so that you don't have to hear all of the racket in the background. I'll be right back. Now that I have this spread out, I'm going to get it in the vortex oven and turn it on for roughly a minute. Now, when you're trying to put your granola on your baking sheet, whatever you're using, just remember that the granola is hot when you're working with it. You want it to be hot because once it cools down, it begins to become solid like granola, and you don't want it to get solid on you until you've baked it. So I'm going to hit the bake button. And let's see, I had 2 minutes, but I'm going to put it down to 1 minute. And I'm going to hit start, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. This little oven is amazing. It cooks things relatively quickly, and I don't want my granola to burn. So I'm just going to brown it up a little bit, and once it's brown, it's done. Again, you can put it in the oven and bake it, get it browned, and then take it out. Again, I'll try to find my original recipe. I've been making this for a long time, so I don't use the recipe. I just throw everything together and bake it for how long it appears I need to bake it for, and it always turns out great. You can also put chocolate chips in this if you like chocolate chips in your granola. I put the cacao powder, so I don't need any additional chocolate. But when this is done, I'll be right back. All right, the little oven is done. It is quick and it is efficient. And so, as you can see, it has a nice browning. I hope you can see it. It's nice and brown. I'm going to give it an opportunity to sit and cool off, but it's nice and brown. And once it begins to cool off, it's going to harden, and it'll be just like granola you buy in the store, the kind that's crunched up little bits and pieces of granola. I love it. So I hope you enjoyed this quick video, and I'll see you tomorrow when the yogurt's done. So granola's down, granola's done, and yogurt's up next. So see you in the morning. The granola is now cool, excuse me, and I've already eaten that portion of it because it is so good. It is so delicious. I have a little bag here that I'm just gonna take it. And as you see, as it cools, it becomes one solid mass. And so you just break it up. I like it in little chunks. It goes well over yogurt or just eaten as is. You can put this in your breakfast cereal if you like. Whatever use you have for yogurt, this is, I'm sorry, granola, whatever you, I keep saying yogurt because I just finished working with the yogurt. Whatever use you have for the granola that you would purchase at the store, you can use this granola for that purpose. And it's prickly because it is hard, but it is so delicious. So I'm just going to chunk it up, just break it off into little chunks like so, and bag it up. And then the granola is done. It is ready to be eaten. And I can tell you that it is delicious. And you will see the yogurt when it is done. So I'll be back. Good morning. It is the next morning, and I am going to be seeing this for the first time with you. Let's see if we have yogurt. Looks like we've got yogurt. Let me put the cap down. Smells like yogurt. Looks like yogurt. Let's see if it's got it. Y'all, we got yogurt, y'all. Look at that. Look at that. It's got that jiggle wiggle. We have yogurt, y'all. This is the first time I have ever made yogurt with whey, and we've got yogurt. So I'm going to strain this with you this morning, and I'm going to make Greek or Icelandic yogurt because that's how I like it. Now, you see me make yogurt before. You don't have to do this particular step if you don't like. If you like it just like this, with the whey, all you need to do is put it in the refrigerator and let it chill. But I'm going to strain it, put it in the refrigerator, and I will have Greek and or Icelandic yogurt, which is what I like. So let's get to straining. Here I have my very tight weave cheesecloth. If you guys can see that. I have a strainer and I have a bowl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cheesecloth, I'm going to open it up all the way so it's not doubled over. I'm going to lay it over my strainer like so. And now I'm going to take the yogurt and place it inside of the strainer because I want all that whey to pass through. And this is the part you didn't see the last time. So let's get in close. Okay, so I'm just going to take the yogurt. And as you can see, that is indeed yogurt. Can you guys see that? It has that whey already. Hope you guys can see that. Let me see. I'm pouring the whey. You can see the yogurt slowly going into the cheesecloth. And like I said, you can just put this in the refrigerator and you can eat this as is. You don't have to strain it if you don't want to strain it. But I like that Icelandic Greek yogurt, so I go the extra step. Look at that. Look at that. That's beautiful. It is draining. and it is going to flatten down. Once the whey is out of it, it's going to fit inside of this strainer. It's really puffy right now, if that's the right word, because it has so much whey in it. And it looks like it's going to come out of the strainer because of all that whey. But it will stay inside. Sorry about all the noise. I have dogs and they are up and having a good time this morning. So I'm going to just pull this together like this and let some of that whey fall through, and then I'll put the very small remaining. I have a spoon. Hope you all can see. I'm just going to press around the edges of the yogurt, and I don't know if you all can see how the whey is pushing out through the cheesecloth. I'm just making room inside of the cheesecloth for that last little bit of yogurt. I hope you all can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to do the same steps I did before. So let me finish putting this last little bit in here, and I will be right back. Now that I have all of the yogurt inside of the container, I'm just going to gather up my cheesecloth like I did the last time when I used a store-bought yogurt, and I'm just going to twist it like this. I'm going to take my insert. Hope you all can see. Take my insert, move this over. I'm going to lift this entire strainer and rest it just like this. I'm going to stick the rest of that cheesecloth inside of the insert, and I'm going to move just like that. I'm going to move the strainer over closer to it just to hold it in place. It doesn't have to be tight. Now this is the whey that came out just for this tiny bit of twisting and pressing with the spoon. I'm going to pour that whey back inside of the container, and this is going to go in the refrigerator. I'm going to let it sit in there probably all day till later this evening. It can stay in there for an hour to 2 hours. You determine what the chill time is for you. I'm going to leave it in here all day because I have other things to do, and I will come back to this later on this evening and I will show you the next steps. I promise I'll show you the next steps. Many hours have passed and the yogurt has strained the whey out. It is chilled, and now it is time to unveil it. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whey and drain it off. I have a bowl over here to the side with a spoon that I'm going to use, and I'm going to strain this whey off. And as you can see, a lot of liquid comes out of the yogurt. A lot of liquid. I'm going to get a top for the whey. Now that I have a top, I'm just going to let this sit on here like that, covered up. That way I don't knock it over. As a matter of fact, nope, I'm going to leave it there because I might need it. Now this is strained and it's going to be dry. Well, not necessarily dry, but it's not going to be as moist. It's going to look kind of like cheese, if you've ever made cheese. So I'm just going to take that off like so. Can you see how it looks kind of like cheese? Now I'm just going to take the strainer, move it out of my way. I'm just going to place it here for right now. I'm going to take this yogurt and I'm going to place it inside of the Instant Pot insert. And if there's any yogurt to come off of this, I'm going to scrape it into the pot. I don't want to lose any of my yogurt. Just like that. And again, you do not have to do this step if you don't want Icelandic or Greek yogurt. I happen to like it, so this is a step that I perform. So I'm going to take this and put it off to the side. Now, let's give you guys a close-up. I hope you can see. It's very firm. It looks like cheese. Doesn't look like yogurt at all, does it? But it is. It's just drained of all the whey. And I did that on purpose because I want it to be thicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some whey and I'm going to add a little bit at a time to make this a tiny bit creamier. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to get the whey out of the refrigerator. This is the whey that I used when I made the yogurt. And I made this yogurt on the 27th of October. And I'm going to pour just a tiny bit in there. Just a little bit. And I'm going to pour a little bit at a time until it's the consistency that I want it to be. I want it to be thick, but I don't want it to be like cheese. So I'm just going to mix in a little bit of whey like this. And I know you're probably thinking, well, you took all the whey out. Now you're putting a little bit of whey back. Yes, I'm putting a little bit of whey back just to make it loose, a little bit looser. But you saw how much whey I took out of it. I didn't want all of that whey in here. And that's how much is going to be in here if you don't strain it. So just a little bit more. We're almost there. And I'm still going to have a thick yogurt. This has all the active probiotics that you would get from store-bought yogurt. Because remember, when I first made the yogurt, it was made with 2 tablespoons of store-bought yogurt. Or I might have just used 1 tablespoon. I have to go back and look. I'll add that video to this one so you can see what I did when I made this with store-bought yogurt. Now, do you see how creamy that is? How nice and creamy that is? This is how I like my yogurt. A little thicker. I'm going to make it just a tiny bit more of whey. There we go. Perfect. That, my friends, is Greek yogurt. Now again, you can do this however you like. I'm going to add a tiny bit more whey because it's still a little bit stodgy. There we go. Now that right there is my yogurt. So now here is where you can flavor it if you like. I'm going to add a little bit more. As I continue to stir it, I can feel how thick it is. There we go. I'm trying to get all of it incorporated. All right, now that's my yogurt. Now, just for gee whiz, I'm going to add a little tiny bit more. Just a tiny bit more. Just like that. Now I'm going to now cover up my whey and get it back in the refrigerator, because it can last for months. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to bottle it up and get it in the refrigerator. Now that I have this all nice and incorporated, I'm going to now, and I hope you all can hear me. I do apologize for all the noise. My bracelets and the spoon is hitting up against the Instant Pot insert and it's clanging. But this is how thick I want my yogurt. And again, I could continue to put a little more whey, a little more whey, a little more whey. But this is what I want it to be, just like that. And now I'm going to get some vanilla. I was going to use my homemade vanilla extract, but I decided I have a little bit of some store-bought. As you can see, I got a little bit in there. I want to make this a vanilla yogurt. So I'm going to just put a dash of that in there like that. And I'm just going to incorporate it in. Just incorporate it in like that. And once you flavor it with whatever you want it to taste like, then you go ahead and put it in whatever container you want it to be in. I'm going to put it in 4-ounce little mason jars. That way they're single serve. It's just enough for an individual to eat it. And I'm going to put just a smidgen more of vanilla because that's how I want to do it. Just like that. Just incorporate it in. And now it's time to get this in the jars. But do you see how beautiful that is? Look at that. This is the part that I didn't show you in my last video, and I am going to put an iCard so you can see my last video, because that yogurt was made slightly different than this yogurt, but the outcome is exactly the same. Okay, exactly the same. This is absolutely beautiful. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. So now let's get this in the jars. I have my mason jar. I have this huge container of whey. And I'm going to pour that into my mason jar. Look at that. Beautiful. And that sediment at the bottom is just a little bit of yogurt. That's going to go in there as well. I'm going to get this into the dishwasher and this into the refrigerator. And now I have whey. And I will include the information on the benefits of whey and how you can use it in the description box below, just like I did in my first video. So now it's time to jar this up. And here is a quart of whey. Look at that. Amazing. All of my jars have gone through the dishwasher. They're all clean. I put the caps on so that in the midst of me doing other things, nothing can get in there and make my jars dirty. Now, I would normally use a funnel, but these are going in the refrigerator, so I'm not concerned about the edges of the jar getting messy. I will use a paper towel to clean it off, but these are not being canned, so I'm not concerned about that. So I just put them in the jar like that. I'm going to put a little bit more, just like that. Top it up, because no one wants to be cheated out of homemade goodness, right? And that's it, family. That is it. Now I have a tiny bit too much in here. I was getting greedy. I get excited. Getting a little bit too greedy. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit out like that. And I'm going to put the cap on that. I just have a dry paper towel. And I'm just going to clean that off like that. And I'm going to put my lid and ring on. And voila! Homemade vanilla yogurt made with milk and whey. If you like this video, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up, share my video, leave me a comment. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Hit that notification bell so you know each and every time I upload a video. And I hope to see you either in the kitchen or the garden real soon. Bye for now. Don't forget, make yourself some yogurt. It's really easy.